Most students miss this question not because they can't do the math, but because they misunderstand what percentage strength actually means. So this looks like a simple question. However, if you make the wrong decision in the first 10 seconds, then the rest of your work really doesn't matter. So before we calculate anything, I want to show you the one question you must answer first, because once you see it, this problem becomes pretty obvious. Hello, this is Dr. Dankwa, and if this is your first time here and you like to learn pharmaceutical calculations, tips, tricks, and strategies, then start by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So this is the kind of question that feels familiar, so students tend to rush it, but the familiarity is exactly what causes the mistake. So take a look at the question and don't calculate anything yet. I want you to read the question and ask yourself one thing: what does percentage strength actually represent? And if you can answer that before touching the math, you're already ahead of most of the students. So the question says, what is the percentage strength of an injection that contains 50 milligram of phenobarbital sodium in each milliliter of solution? Round to the nearest whole number. So what tends to happen is I generally see students jump into the calculations immediately, and that actually might be the mistake. In this type of question, you first need to recognize that percentage strength is actually not a formula necessarily, it's more of a definition. So specifically, when you talk about percentage strength, and here you have phenobarbital, which is a solid and it's in a solution. So it's basically going to be percentage weight by volume. And when you talk about percentage strength here, it's going to be the amount of grams that are present in 100 milliliter of the solution. So how many grams of the drug are present in 100 milliliters of the solution? Now, if you need a more thorough video on the percentage strengths, there are several on the channel and I'll link them in this particular video. Now, before you calculate anything, the first thing you need to do is to translate what you've been given into that meaning, into the number of grams in 100 milliliters. And this is where, as a student, I will use Bivinci. So I'll just go to the chat right there and then put in the prompt. And as you can tell, just based on the prompts, we ask for the most common mistakes. So as you notice, it starts off with even the definition as well. And that's exactly what we went through, the amount of grams in 100 ml of the solution. And so it gives you step-by-step what to do. And we can go through that on the blackboard in a minute. But you want to convert the 50 milligrams to grams. And then you're going to use your conversion factors. So 1,000 milligrams is 1 gram. And that's what it's doing in step number 2. And then it tells you that that's 50 milligrams, or in this case, 0.05 grams is in 1 ml of the solution. And then you scale it up to 100 by multiplying by the volume, because that's what gives you the percentage strength. Remember, it's the amount of grams in 100 milliliters. So here, Bivinci identifies the most common mistakes that the student will make. And the most common mistake here actually is failing to convert the milligrams to grams before you calculate the percentage. And if you miss that particular key thing, then everything else will be incorrect when you do your calculations. So why is it a mistake? Because percentage strength is once again, the grams of solute in 100 milliliters of solution. And if you ignore this conversion, then your answer will be at least 1,000-fold off, or will be 1,000-fold incorrect. So let me give you a quick perspective if I was solving this manually, what that would look like. And so here, the first thing we will do is we will take this 50 milligrams and we would convert that to grams. So we will take 50 milligrams and we will use the conversion factor that 1,000 milligrams is 1 gram. And we just set up a dimensional analysis. So now the milligrams will cancel out and that will give 0.05 grams. Now notice that this 0.05 grams, which is basically the 50 milligrams, is in each milliliter. So that gives us this setup right here. So 0.05 grams is in 1 milliliter. And from the definition of percentage strength is the amount of grams of your solute in 100 milliliters of the solution. So we can set up an elegant proportion, which will look like this. Or you can simply multiply the 0.05 grams over 100 ml by 100. And that's exactly what this will end up looking like when we solve for x. And you end up with 5. So your percentage strength is going to be 5%. Now it says round to the nearest whole number. In this instance, it's already a whole number, so we don't do much there. But that's another area you want to identify. It could be a source of error if you round incorrectly. So if you are preparing for an exam, here's the exam rule I want you to remember. Anytime you see percentage strength, you got to stop and ask yourself what amount of drug is present in 100 units. and it could be 100 milliliters or 100 grams, depending on whether it's weight by weight, volume by volume, or weight by volume. And then once you've answered that question, the calculation becomes almost automatic. Actually, if you can't answer that question, then you're not really ready to calculate yet, right? So this one habit alone prevents a huge number of avoidable mistakes. And that's exactly how I would practice questions like this. Interpretation first, calculation second, and then you can use tools like BVinci to help slow you down and reinforce the right way to think instead of doing more problems and hoping something sticks. So I hope you found this video tutorial useful. If you did, be sure to like it and share it. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll get to them as soon as I see them. If you'd like to learn more pharmaceutical calculations, tips, tricks, and strategies, then start by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.